I don't know, man.
What's going on, you guys? It's Brian Sewell here with Guild Mortgage, and I got my buddy Richard James on Let's Talk Podcast, RJ and Sewell Let's Talk Podcast. So I think we missed you last week. We're glad to be here. How y'all doing? How you doing, RJ?
I'm good, man. Fantastic week going on so far.
Yep.
Yeah, had an interesting conversation with someone last night about buying versus renting. Yeah.
I'm curious. Yeah. Do tell.
Yeah. So this is a friend of mine who currently rents and was very pleased with the amount of rent that they pay. And yeah, it is for the space that this person, the rent is very reasonable. I brought up the concept of buying versus renting. And we had that conversation. Well, my rent is very inexpensive. I like it, and not much to worry about. And then I brought up the concept of building equity versus paying somebody else's mortgage and throwing money away month after month. So after that conversation, I think there was a change of heart, which I was pleased with, of course.
I'm gonna sit down, RJ. So forgive me. The freaking light is bothering me. So
no, go for it, man. I'm sitting as well.
Yeah, I want to hang out with you.
Yeah.
So you talk to somebody about buy versus rent. They like their low rent.
Mm-hmm.
So they've changed it since then.
Yep.
What changed? What made them change? Obviously, you're good at your job, but
I think it was the idea of giving money away every month versus building equity in something that they own and being able to do different things with that equity.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you talk about building wealth, did you talk to them about the huge wealth gap between those that own and those that rent?
We didn't go there. But the conversation was actually about life insurance last night.
Okay.
But we did turn.
You talk about your field.
Yeah, well, that's what I get paid to do, right? But I do like to encourage people to buy as opposed to renting. Renting. When I was in Minnesota for those 3 years, I rented the first year I was up there with the intent to buy, even though I thought it might be a short-term thing. But I didn't want to. I don't like giving my money away. We work hard for money. That's part of being an adult, being able to pay bills, being able to provide for our families and so forth. And I didn't like the idea of giving my money away to somebody every single month. So
no, I don't like. Look, I think we pay too much in taxes. We give away too much money. If I'm going to give it, I'd rather give it to charity, somebody that actually use it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Agreed.
So figure out better strategies for that. Anything you want to add on that call? Like how you just decide to buy? That's it.
From me, or did they decide? Well, they did decide that buying is probably a better proposition. In fact, I didn't even have to say giving money away every month. That person said it.
Okay.
So they definitely understand the concept. Very intelligent person, so they understood it. I think they're going to be looking now to buy rather than keep renting.
Cool. Smart.
Yeah,
Smart.
absolutely.
Cool. We got a lot to talk about. Man, I know you said you had questions, but I'm going to give a little quick AI review. Guys, you got to embrace AI. So I asked AI, I use a couple different apps. Like what's going on in the market, what's the issue, what are you seeing, what are people discussing right now?
Mm-hmm.
And here's what it came up. Grok came up with this: market shifting towards buyers right now. Inventory's up, prices, and I'm going to give my opinion after I read this. Prices are softening a bit, with some areas seeing declines, and sales are inching higher, but still low overall.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage rates are hovering around 6.4 to 6.5. That's about right. So affordability is still tough, but better than the last few years. Agreed. For you, RJ says biggest buyer's nerves, insurance costs. Premiums have jumped hard, especially in high risk states like California, Florida, and parts of Colorado or the South. Some up 80% plus since 2020, driven by climate events like wildfires and storms. It's killing deals because lenders won't close without coverage, and it's eating into monthly budgets big time. We thought we had it bad in Illinois with these crazy taxes. People are also worried about unexpected homeownership costs on top of high prices, economic uncertainty, and just stretching their budget. So those are all real challenges.
They are.
So I'm gonna ask you. So we're talking about topics to move. How to shop for insurance early and ways to lower your premiums. That's for you, RJ. You like that setup?
I do. I love it. So, when we talk about, insurance is a cost whether you rent or own. Even if you're a renter, you should have renter's insurance. It covers your liability, but it also protects you from losing your personal belongings. I have a friend who was run out of his apartment in the middle of the night years ago by fire, and he lost everything. He was a small business owner, or is a small business owner, and he actually had to go back to his parents for a short time in order to rebuild. Insurance can help you avoid those things. But when you talk about the cost of insuring your home, when you're a homeowner, that costs us significantly more. Why? Because we not only protect your personal belongings and your liability, but we also protect the home itself.
You broke up a little bit for a second there. You said you protect the home itself.
Yeah. We protect not only the home itself, but also the liability and the personal belongings. So, when you look at all those things together, the cost of owning a home and insuring that home is going to be higher than renting. So the thing is, when we had COVID, we had a supply chain shortage, right? The supply chain was damaged. It never went back to what it was originally. So the cost of getting building materials is still relatively, it's a lot higher than it was pre-COVID. Some of that is inflation.
Mhm.
Some of it is just the natural way of things when you have, inflationary things like COVID happen to you or to the economy. Things never go back to what they used to be in terms of cost. So not only did the cost of goods or the building materials increase, but the cost of the labor also increased. Those things have to be factored into the cost of insurance, because ultimately we have to pay all those things when it's time to rebuild someone's home, right? So if there's a fire, we got to pay the cost for labor. We got to pay the cost for materials as well. Okay. What you said about the impacts of climate conditions. So those wildfires that we keep seeing on the news, I see them way more than ever before. I don't know if it's just because we have so much access to information these days, or if it's the world is changing, and now we're seeing more wildfires. In Florida, we're also seeing more hurricanes. So when you put those things together, imagine living in California or Colorado or Florida, where those things are happening. If the insurance companies were to only charge those homeowners in those states for the cost of insuring their homes, they might as well self-insure. So what happens with those companies that insure in those areas, they have to smooth out those premiums across their entire footprint. Okay, which means somebody in Illinois, customers in Illinois are also paying for those costs to insure.
Okay, so that makes sense. Yeah, it's rough, right? You got to pay overall. I mean, we can talk about. I tell you about my sister, her having those claims, which I'm kind of laughing about before, but 3, and I think she said 3 or 4 years. And whereas, we've never had a claim, but you're right that it's, I guess it's impacted to some degree, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What other tips can you give as far as, and just kind of recap it, planning? I know AI said to shop for your insurance early, but other than that, anything you would give a first time person worried about going into a property and insuring it that's on a budget?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, especially for first-time home buyers, I think most people that I've worked with that are first-time home buyers, they have an idea of what insurance should cost, and it's usually way off, as you might expect. So it's really important to go in loaded with questions for your insurance agent. What are the coverages that I should have? What are the limits that I should have? And what are those coverages actually going to do for me? How are they going to perform? And remember, as the customer or the insured, you have the final say in what those limits and coverages should look like. Okay. So, as an insurance advisor, I'm going to advise you for certain levels. I'm also going to advise you about certain coverages. Ultimately, it comes down to what you decide. But know that, or if you are talking with someone who has your best interest at heart, they're going to advise you on the right levels, the right coverages. They're going to be open to your questions. They're going to be open to your pushback, because that pushback means that you don't completely understand yet, or maybe it means that what, I understand and I'm resistant to some of these things. But definitely go in with a lot of questions for your insurance agent. Make sure that they're taking care of you the way you need to be taken care of.
I mean, I think that's true. I like what you said there, and you should be curious, either asking the right questions in anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you should be able to explain why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so to piggyback a little bit on the first part of that, right? It was talking about the affordability issue, talking about rates and things of that nature. Listen, we talked about this probably way too often, but there's things you can do to make your payments, I believe, in this market, and I'll probably say it over and over and over again, looking at a lender buy down or seller buy down. And I believe that it's right. I mean, it's accurate information we're talking about right now. So I think I got a deal working on right now where the builder is doing a 2-1 buy down. He's paying for 1 year, and then we're doing the other year, and that's a new one we just got, right? I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago. It's another way to get into your property and save a lot of money using buy down. As far as affordability and grants, we have plenty of those, plenty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? A ton of grants that can help you get into home. So down payment it shouldn't be the only concern. It's a concern, but we can help you with those, whether you're doing a conventional grant or an FHA grants. All grants aren't created equal. There are some that are forgiven. There are some you got to pay back, but their situation just depends on, each situation is different. And it might make sense to get, but it's still better to RJ's point, bringing it up, than you renting a property. We talked about at the beginning, buying versus renting. The wealth gap is huge, man. It's astronomical.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that, as far as just bridging that wealth gap to get you in a home? But we want to get you in a home and make sure you're able to safe in your home and not be
Mm-hmm.
house poor.
Yeah, so I think that's a great idea. I think planning is probably the biggest thing, right? So whether you're planning to buy a home, planning to buy a car, any significant purchase should be thought out and planned before you start acting. Which
Mhm.
leads me to a question I have for you. When you think about, so let's talk about my friend, for example. Um, not ready to buy a house just yet, maybe. But what are the things that people should be thinking about? What does the process look like from start to finish if you're advising someone on buying a home?
That's a great question. So, like, you're saying, like, they come on, they say, "Hey, I want to buy a home. Where do I get started?"
Yep.
One of the questions I like, and I'll tell them congratulations on this journey, because sometimes, depending on what you're dealing with, you may be dealing with a buyer that's a first generation homeowner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm speaking specifically a lot of people in African American community that have never owned a home,
Yep.
right? So you also maybe talk to someone that is in just buying their first home, and it didn't get passed down to them when mom and dad purchased home. Kind of what race of culture you come back from. come from. Back then they put 20% down with the house was 60 grand. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not
Right.
saying 12,000 is not a lot of money, but it's different. So first I asked them, I say, hey, what's one of the most important things about buying a home for you? Are you concerned about anything regarding buying a home? Okay. And then have you thought about a monthly budget? And we'll help them put that together.
Mm-hmm.
Part of asking that question is to get them to think, not, some people may ask, okay, how much you make a year? What's your credit score? We'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
But I like asking those questions because the monthly budget part to me is an important piece, because sometimes they look at houses and cars as the same.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, I'll go buy that car I know cars cost a lot more now. I forget, I'm going to buy, I was about to say a $20,000 car, but I don't know if they make those anymore. So I'm going to buy me a
smart car,
$30,000 car, and my car note is $500 a month, whatever. So, it's not the same on buying a house, and you can go there and do what you need to do. You're out in an hour. Well, you got to find a house. One thing, we'll get you qualified first. So where do you feel, and we'll talk specifically for Illinois, but this can be used anywhere. Where are you looking to move? Are you looking to buy in the city or the suburbs? Now, the city taxes have gone up, but they still lower than suburbs. So that gives me an idea. Okay, are you looking to buy a single family home? Are you looking to buy a 2-unit or a 3-unit? Lets me know how comfortable you are with maybe using some rental income. So we ask those questions. Then we might ask about credit. That's an important piece. Like, how are you as far as your credit is concerned? And just being able to talk about those things, I think, is vital as far as seeing where they're at. And then what's your comfort level as far as down payment? Regardless of all the grants I have, you put some skin in the game, your payment's going to be lower. Okay, just the way it is. People say, I put no money down, I got money back. What's your monthly payment? Right? Ask those right questions. So we ask all those questions, then we put together a budget and then plan. And depending on how fast you're looking to move, we schedule a Zoom call like we're doing right now. This is not Zoom, and then we go through it together.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we're not finished. We got to do a budget at that point, monthly payment. We go through it, we look at all that stuff, and then we proceed along, and then give them a pre-approval once we get all their docs. Next step is for them to find a property.
Yeah.
So I just said probably about an hour worth of work in 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I really like the questions that you start off with, because I think when we talk about advising, it's so critical to know what's important to people, right? So that we can tailor our service to what their actual needs are, rather than assuming that everybody is the same. So I really appreciate that about you. It's one of the reasons you're the only one that does my mortgage. We kind of understand the process now, so we can just kind of jump into it, when we get ready to do something. But for people who are going through this process for the first time, I think it's comforting for them to know, what does the agenda look like?
Right.
So I appreciate that about you. Here's my follow-up. As people go on this journey, how do they avoid costly errors?
It's a great question. When you say costly errors, so I'll give you one. Do a home inspection. Always.
Mm-hmm.
I know some lenders out there say, hey, waive your inspection. Each market's different. I'm a big believer, especially if you're a first-time buyer and you already don't have a fund. I was talking to a client earlier, so I do my check-in calls, clients that close the last couple of months. And I asked him, how's things going? My normal speech. I have a thing I say, and he's like, terrible. Like, oof, what's going on? He's like, man, there's so much damage, so much water issues and basement, and we have to get these done. And I felt bad for him, but he did a home inspection, but I feel like he felt like some things were hidden from him, and things can happen. So I think it's important that you do a home inspection, you're thorough about that, you look at the safety issues, and listen, at the end of the day, you're the only one going to make the mortgage payment. And you want to make sure that you're buying an investment in so you want to make sure the issues that are there's safety issues, that those are addressed. I know there's very limited properties on the market, but when you just go into a property and just be like, oh, whatever, I'm just going to get it, then sometimes you don't get the same, what the word I'm looking for, you may regret it later. Pay the $500 and get the home inspection. That's a costly mistake, not paying for an inspection. A thorough inspection and reviewing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's all types of loan officers and insurance agents and realtors. Like I said, there's good preachers and bad preachers.
Mhm.
Uh, I think you want to make sure you're getting proper advice. And that's it. Look, I got to get advice. I mean, I ask RJ questions all the time.
Yeah.
Uh, he sees things that I don't see. So,
Mhm.
matter of fact, he's got to help me with some stuff on my insurance I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
So I think that's important that um, that's one cost that I would look at. Make sure you do a home inspection and pre-approval. Get pre-approved first. Don't get online and just go. All right, I spent 3 minutes. I mean, we have that option with our HELOCs. It's hilarious. You get approved in 5 minutes, but you just go online for a house you're trying to buy that you're going to live in, right? And you spend 5 minutes from somebody across the town, Timbuktu,
Mhm.
that barely knows you, and you just go, boom, that's it, done. You haven't spent the time to go over and make sure it makes sense. So I think
Yeah.
it's important that you take the time on pre-approvals and that you get everything in and that you're not surprised later on.
Yeah. Man, so going back to the home inspection, I think that is so critical. That's a great point that you bring up. An inspection is not going to reveal everything that might be wrong with the property, but
Right.
they are trained to see things that the average person buying a home is not going to see, and it could wind up saving you a ton of money. So the 500, even if it costs $1,000 for a home inspection up front, it could save you literally thousands of dollars down the line,
Literally.
right? So, um, we've had some experience with that. So, yeah, I think that's a great investment. It's a huge mistake to not get an inspection done professionally. Don't get your buddy that just happens to own a lot of properties. He may have a better eye than you, he or she, but if they're not a licensed home inspector, pay the money, get it done right, and get it so you understand what you're getting yourself into. There, nobody's going to open up the walls on an inspection. They're not going to do that. They're going to look at, they may check the electrical current to make sure everything is regulated properly. They may check the window. They will check the windows. They'll check the roof for, various things like that. They're not going to open up the walls, and the walls can hide a lot. Floors can hide a lot. Floor coverings can hide a lot, but they're going to catch a lot of things that you as the home buyer probably wouldn't catch. That
Right.
is a very reasonable expense when you're buying a home. So great. Thanks for bringing that up.
No, you touched on some things I didn't even bring up. That's I think it's important to do that.
Yeah. So one more question for you.
This
Debt,
question, Brian, today, huh?
yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. But I
Yeah.
got a few for you.
Go ahead.
So debt to income ratio. I know you have that conversation with your customers as you're working through the loan process with them, especially once they find out, maybe in the pre-qualifying time frame, but definitely by the time they identify a home, you're having that conversation with them. What is the debt to income ratio? What does it mean for the customer?
I mean, debt to income ratio, I mean, give a real full definition. It just means what that is, debt to, we're talking debt to income, show your debt to your income, right? What is
Mhm.
the proportion, right? And so when you think about flexibility, so you heard us talking about taxes and all that stuff. A lot of times when we use debt to income ratio, we're not including property taxes in most cases. Well, no, sorry, not property taxes, Uncle Sam. So
Yeah.
debt to income, taxes, death
Yeah.
and taxes, those come, right? So when somebody tells you, hey, my debt ratio can't be over 50% on the program, I think max is like 56 or 57 with FHA in certain situations. VA goes a
Mhm.
little higher. But we got to think about comfort level, your debt. So your total debt with your total income. So let's say you make $5,000 a month, 60,000 a year, right? So 2,500 a month would be a 50% debt ratio. That's total debt. That means mortgage about 1,000, car note 500, a couple other student loan bills add up to another 500. That's 2,000. Look at me doing math in my head. I'm having fun again. Credit card debt equal 500. So you add a total of $2,500 on the back end debt over 5,000. The other part of that is that the mortgage debt. So if your mortgage was 1,000 and your house was and the total income was 5,000, you're like 20-something%. I didn't do the math in my head. 14, 15%. Now I need to do the math because that's bothering me a little bit that I can't do that. But if you mess it up.
1,000 out of 5,000, 20%.
Yeah, Brian can't count. 20%. So if you got a 20 and 50, right? So that's not a terrible ratio. But what you're not doing is you're not including the taxes that Uncle Sam take out. So if you're in that situation, if you say, oh, we can make it work, well, Uncle Sam's taking out 20-25%. So you're not getting $5,000 each month. You're probably getting more like 3,500, 3,800, somewhere in that ballpark. So you got to think about the tightness of that lifestyle, right? Yeah. How do you want to live? So your debt to income ratio or your debt ratio is, there are guidelines for it, but I think you need to look at where you feel. The question I like to ask, you asked me this, where do you feel comfortable with your monthly payment? All in. You can make $1 million a month. You may only feel comfortable paying $2,000 a month. Mm-hmm. It's important that you understand this. It's not about what Brian feels comfortable with you making a monthly payment. It's what you feel comfortable. And then we work around that. There are several levels to this, and we can expand. Like the VA does a residual income, which I like their method a lot better because it looks at taking out your taxes, your expenses, and say, okay, how much money do you have left over after you pay all your bills? Mm-hmm. For investors, we offer something called a DSCR loan. It's called debt service coverage ratio loan. So that throw everything out the window. We don't care about your debt. We look at your mortgage is $2,000, your rent is $2,000. That's a wash. Mm-hmm. Do you make more than what the mortgage cost? Are you charging more in rent than what your mortgage payment is? And then we can talk. Okay, that's an investor loan. So we talk about debt to income ratios. There's different levels of it. We look at cash flow in those types of situations. That was a long-winded answer, but I hope I got through.
No, that was good. I think it's important for people to understand, especially the part that you mentioned, because when you talk about debt to income ratio, the income part, you're talking about their gross income, right? And it does create tightness in their budget if they don't realize that. So now, okay, yeah, I make 5,000 a month, but I'm only bringing home 3,500, whatever it might be.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, everybody got different.
So now your budget's a little tight. So now you're going out less. You're buying, maybe a different car. Maybe you're buying, you're going shopping less. And
groceries, living expenses.
Groceries, gas, absolutely. All of that. So, that's a huge point to bring up. I once talked, this was years ago. I had somebody close to me that was looking at buying a home. I think they were making, I want to say $80,000 a year at the time. And the mortgage person that they had been working with told them that they could afford a $500,000 home. I was like, no. And this person was saying, yeah, they showed me the numbers. I said, look, even if you manage to pay the mortgage, you're going to have a great cave because you're not going to have utilities. You're not going to be able to dress the way you like to dress. You're not going to be able to drive anything unless you have a company car, and you're not going to have food in the cabinet or refrigerator. So, I think that's a great point you bring up. I love the way you explained it. And I hope that, for people that are listening or watching, I hope that point got home to you about gross versus net income.
I appreciate RJ. You answered that way. We're going to have some more guests on. I was meeting with an agent earlier today. I thought she brought up a couple of good points. He wants us to talk about our flex mortgage. You can use that reverse, and then there's a lot of other things that we were just talking about. I was like, oh man, that's a good topic. Got to bring that up. Mm-hmm. We got to have her on. We got to bring us some more guests, but we want to hear from you guys. Whether you're watching this later, questions that you might have, and we addressed them based off of what's being asked a lot online is the budgeting. We got programs to help you to deal with that budget. But I think it's important that, we talked for about 29 minutes here, mm-hmm. and you're getting approved in 5. Do you really think that's how you should do things? Now, again, there's the exception. Your situation is where you're making all this crazy money, and probably only take a few minutes, but you still should put a budget together.
Absolutely.
So, I think it's important. RJ, I'm going to be respectful of time. I want to keep us on our 30 minutes, but I do want to really bring up something really quick just to shift gears real quick. How you feel about those bullish drafts?
So I was working last night. I was in an appointment when the draft was going on. I did get a chance to look at the number 4 pick, um, and I'm pleased with that one. I'm pleased with that one. I think we did a lot better with this number 4 pick than we did our last number 4 pick. Not that player's fault, but it was certainly the Bulls' fault. But I didn't get a chance to look at anything beyond that. Hopefully, I'll get a chance to peek at it tonight.
Today, the second round is today.
Yeah. So, what'd you think about it?
Well, I don't know if we talked, but I was expecting them to get Caleb Wilson. Has been talked about. Man, the dad's going to have problems. Caleb Wilson, Caleb Williams. Man, they're going to have problems.
I did last night.
This dude, I watched him, and I watched his highlights, and I watched like the little 10-minute, 18-minute. So every player that was drafted before him, Boozer, Day, I can't say his first name. The guy, the guy that went number 1.
Yeah.
And the other kid that's really good, number 2. So I heard Draymond Green said that his floor is Kevin Garnett. I'm gonna tell you right now.
He said it's floor or ceiling?
His floor is Kevin Garnett. Watch his highlights. Just go to YouTube and watch his highlights. It's not even a highlight. You just see how he plays.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a very smooth game, nice touch, 15, 18-foot jump shot. It turnaround is money.
Yeah.
He won't have the complaint that Michael Jordan used to give Luke Longley when he would finger roll the ball. When he said that dude is trying to break your face when he's going up there. Like it. Lord forgive me for saying this. He reminds me of somebody, and I don't want to say it, but when he dunks the basketball, the way he goes to the bat, he reminds me of somebody, and it's blasphemy to even say this name, but I'm going to say it because he's from North Carolina. He's taller than Michael, but when he goes to the basket when Michael was younger, that dude is. I'm like,
so the review that I read on him, basically the online grade, they talked about his athletic ability, his leaping ability, and they basically said he is pretty much a unicorn. They said I think the description that I read said the only thing he needs to work on is his shooting ability. I think he shoots about, he has a nice mid-range shot, but anything beyond that he struggles with. So he shoots about 71% from the free throw line. Got to do better. Got to do better than that. And then the other thing is, right, like you said, the 3-point or long range shooting. So anything beyond the mid-range, he needs to work on as well. I think he shot like 25% from 3, and that was the college 3. So it'll be worse.
He take a lot of them though. He said they want to ask him to do it, but I
won a game, which I love.
Yeah,
I love it.
Listen, go watch him play against the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick, and the number 3 pick.
Okay,
and he was giving up. I mean, the number 2 pick was going back at him. But he was giving them the business. Like it wasn't like Boozer was getting this shot blocked. Like it was. I was watching that. That's why I was like, please don't do that stupid bull. Just pick the right guy. I think he has the most upside. I think he's dangerous.
Mm-hmm. He led North Carolina in scoring, rebounding. I think block shots.
He plays defense. He plays defense.
Yeah, and it was a 4th category. I can't remember what it was.
Well, I saw him. He can handle the rock a little bit too. I saw him, for his size.
Yeah.
He's again blasphemy on bringing up the MJ. He's got that Carolina blue. But I tell you what, go look at when Michael was dunking on guys like it was just like stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, wait a minute. That reminds me of somebody. I think it's a setup though, because at the end of the day, I think if you watch, because if I was a GM. When I say set up, I think that this is all set up structure to people. If I was a GM and I saw that dude kill those other 3, I would pick him number 1. That's just me. I seen you play against your peers. And although I'm Jeff Peterson, I think his name, number 2 pick. That dude is a walking bucket.
Okay.
Yeah, the number 2 pick, he's a walking bucket. But I would say the 4th pick, man, Caleb Wilson is he's dangerous, man. That
Okay.
he gonna have us watching games again. I ain't talking about going down to the United Center anymore.
Not yet.
Not yet. Not yet. We gotta get our Bears tickets through that. But
Yeah.
but no, he's dangerous.
Yeah.
Just from the couple of things that I watch, and I didn't really watch. I'm just saying I watched the YouTube.
Yeah.
Thing. I'm like, whoa, that's all I need to see.
Well, hey, you know what? I'm excited to hear that. Excited about what I read last night as well. It's about time.
Yeah, it's a different regime too, though. Everything's changed over. Hey, Chuck Swirsky, I saw his little thing. The Bulls announcer. He, I saw a little thing that he was. I can't think of the kid's name. I just forgive me. I'm terrible at names. But the number 15 pick, Chuck Swirsky was begging for the Bulls to pick him, and they picked him. And it's like, yeah, he's a two-way player too.
Okay.
Yeah, too, but he's like 6'6", 6'7", something like that.
That's okay. Wing player, nice. Probably got a nice wingspan.
Plays defense.
That you know what? You know how I feel about defense.
Yeah.
I don't like
players.
players.
Address that point guard position because that guy don't play defense.
Yeah, well.
He don't know if he's gonna be here.
Yeah.
No, he's a good player though. He's a real good point guard.
If you don't play defense, James Harden,
he's that bad. James don't make an effort.
I'm just saying.
His name's Josh Giddey. He's not a good defender.
Look, you don't have to be a great defender, but you got to give me effort. You got to give me, you can't just be a walkover bucket for whoever you're guarding, because now you got my team playing 4-on-5, and that's unfair to those four. So, to me, if you want to be a good teammate, you always have to give defensive effort. If you look at Steph Curry, he's not a great defender, and he gets dog walks sometimes. But he gives effort though, and he'll come up with steals sometimes as a result of the effort. I want effort. It doesn't always have to be. It's about heart and desire. Defense is an attitude. You know that.
No, I agree.
I take it personally if somebody scores on me. I don't care what your name is.
we older now, RJ. We can't take that. Yeah, I'm interested. I like they traded for Claxton, the center, and so their starting five is nice. I mean, it's young.
Yeah, well,
might win 30, 35 games. Yeah.
I like a young starting five. That way, we get to mold and shape them in the way we want them to play. I'm saying like I'm a coach, but
they're playing. Look at San Antonio. At the end of the day, they're very young.
Absolutely.
Very young, and those guys were balling in the playoffs.
Yes, they were, and they played, and everybody on that team plays both ways.
Yep, and you can see that's what Graham wants to do. Like that's cool. In that, but I'm telling you right now, boy, listen, me, I know basketball, and that Wilson kid got me smiling a little bit. I was like, ooh,
yeah,
that kid, that kid is, if as long as those highlights are not just highlights, that kid's got a motor on him. They said he needs to learn how to just slow it down a little bit. Don't try to break everybody's face every time you come.
But you know what? I would rather have that problem, because you can always bring somebody down than to have, where you got talent but no motor.
Dude, he tried to jump from the free throw line and dunk on it. Watch this.
I like it, man. I like it.
He does. He got a little Kevin Garnett in him. I know. I was thinking that too, but man, boy, I tell you what, I'm like, I had to take a second look. Like, I said, I ain't seen that. Then, Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely excited about it, man. I can't wait to see. I'll start the season out watching for sure. We'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, it's a different regime. So, guys, look, if you need insurance help or mortgage help, DM us, reach out to us. We're happy to help. We'll be here again next week. We just, we thought we'd talk a little sports at the end here. So, really appreciate the time to hang out with you guys and share on here. We're going to try to just, roll this thing out a little bit and give more solid information. So, RJ, I always appreciate you doing this with me, man.
Likewise, man. It's great partnering with you and everything. For folks that are checking this out, if there are any topics that we haven't covered and you'd like to learn more about it, please drop us a message and let us know, or reach out to us individually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. We're here to help.
All right, guys. Take care.
Take care, everybody.